right. Good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson. Let's go ahead and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to be talking about tonight. Some stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight. Obviously, we will talk about what's currently going on. We also will talk about what's just going to happen tonight, just in general. That, and then we will also talk about what's going on in terms of the tropics, what's going on in terms of the potential snow potential just as we go into next week. We'll talk about that because we do have some news there. Pretty interesting one. The short-term models are showing some stuff. And so pretty much we're going to just talk about that. If you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Right now, it seems like everyone has so far, or at least close to. Maybe a couple haven't. If you are part of that couple, make sure you go on and hit the like button. That, and if you are new and you have never hit the subscribe button before, go and hit the subscribe button. We have 610 people following or subscribed to the channel right now. So make sure that you go on and do so, as that is free and you can change your mind at any given time. Doesn't matter. So now let's go on and look at what's going on currently right now. So throughout the state right now, we do in fact have some rainfall going on. And so that's not really too much of a shock. We were talking about it this morning. Rainfall ongoing throughout portions of the Midlands, going throughout like Greenwood, Abbeville, Silver Street, Newbury, going over into Cross Hill and Prosperity. And we do have a strong storm. Very heavy rainfall rates of up to 2 inches per hour. That, and then also, actually just seems like that's just the main reason. Not really in terms of wind, but just that heavy rainfall. 2 inches of rainfall per hour is going on. It's possible in those areas that are included, like 96, Lake Greenwood State Park, and some of these areas, as torrential rainfall would lead to potential flooding. And then over here, near Hartsville, Darlington, right now, wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour and pea-sized hail going on over there. And there even could be some minor hail damage to vehicles. So now that that is out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and clear some of this stuff off the map. If I can go on over here, I'm just going to turn all that off. This is what's currently going on right now throughout the entire U.S. We do have some rainfall ongoing. Rainfall is indeed ongoing. Goes throughout North Carolina, goes throughout South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, parts of it at least, Alabama and Mississippi. We also do have some rainfall going on in Pennsylvania and New York. This is where things start to look a bit interesting, because this is where we start to see some snowfall. Rainfall going in Michigan, Illinois getting in on some of that rainfall, Indiana getting in on some of that rainfall, but then we get some snow. Snow going on in North Dakota, going on in Minnesota, going on inside of the UP of Michigan, and also inside of Wisconsin and northwestern Illinois, even parts of Iowa getting in on some of that snowfall. Nebraska, South Dakota getting in on some of that snowfall. But the West over here, they are looking nice and good over there. Nice and dry. What's going on in terms of cloud cover? We do in fact have some cloud cover. Some of it's low, some of it's about mid-level. Really just determines on where you're at in terms of where the cloud cover is. But for the most part, looks like it's, for the most part, mostly cloudy. We do have some clear spots, especially in the low country. Low country is looking very clear right now. Pretty much the only area that's not really receiving too much cloud cover right now. Even if we go into our future, that is not what I meant to do, but you go right here, you continue to push this forward, you go into like tomorrow morning. This is tomorrow morning right here, still mostly cloudy for the most part, going through the upstate, going through the Midlands, going through the PD and the Grand Strand areas. And then as we get throughout the day, for the most part, you can see things start to calm down a little bit in terms of cloud cover. As we continue, though, into like tomorrow night, though, at 9 p.m., we will still see some more cloud cover activity that will go on all the way through. And then there goes our cold front right here. Pushes its way through on Monday. This is right here around like Monday, like early Monday, like morning. And it pushes its way through. We get some cloud cover behind it, but for the most part, as you can see, There goes that trough right there that pushes its way down towards the south and east over into South Carolina. Now, what about our current temperature? Current temperatures right now 66 in Columbia as well as 67 in Orangeburg, 66 also in Sumter, in Hartsville, in Florence, in Georgetown, in Somerville, in Murrells Inlet, in North Myrtle Beach, all 66, 67 as well inside of, I already said Orangeburg over there. And then also, I believe one of the areas just changed as well down to 66, so no longer 67 anymore. We have 66 also near Aiken. There's also 66 also near Charleston, Beaufort. Just a lot of 66s from what I'm seeing. But then once we get to the upstate, it starts to change. 61, Greenville inside of Gaffney. 62 in Spartanburg and York. Clemson, 63 in Rock Hill and Anderson. Low temperatures for tonight. 57 in Greenville, 57 in Spartanburg, as well as 59 in Rock Hill, 58 in Winsboro, and 61 in Columbia and Camden, 62 in Sumter, and 63 also in Orangeburg, 61 in Barnwell and Walterboro, and even around 62 in Moncks Corner, 63 in Charleston, and 62 in Georgetown, 64 in Myrtle Beach, and 62 in Florence, 60 in Turon, 61 also inside of Dillon. Now, in terms of rainfall for tonight, we're going to have a good amount of rainfall. I mean, with this warm night, with only low temperatures going on into the mid to high 50s, and that's like being like the lowest of the low. Rainfall added on top of it as well. You have like 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch for Aiken, going into Orangeburg, going into King Street, 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch for Florence, to Dillon, to Cheraw, going into Greenville, to Anderson, to Lawrence, and then maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch possible in Spartanburg, possible in Rock Hill as well. And then some areas might even receive a half an inch to an inch. Some areas might even receive a half an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall as we go into tonight, going into tomorrow night. So this goes from 7 p.m. tonight to 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Crazy score, we're at a 22. If you have no idea what the crazy score is, the score that we see how crazy the weather is inside of South Carolina. We're at a 22 because we're still having that isolated shower/storm activity. And we are also going to receive, obviously, mild temperatures, partly cloudy skies for the most part, and then post-storm clearing. Shortwave exits, instability wanes, but the moisture will linger ahead of the cold front that will be passing us on Monday. Now for the SPC outlook, this is for right now. We still have a marginal risk of severe weather for Aiken, for Columbia, for Florence, for Myrtle Beach, and this right now, I mean, it's not verifying, but there still is some strong storms that's going on with it. We just saw, torrential rainfall of up to 2 inches. Now that's not technically severe, but that is still something to look for. And then same thing with the winds that we just saw over there near Hartsville with 40-mile-per-hour winds, and then also some small hail. I called that out a little bit ago. I believe it was either yesterday or, because I wasn't here on Thursday, so it probably was yesterday. So yesterday I said that even though there wasn't a severe risk for Saturday, we still would have to watch out for potentially some gusty winds and then potentially some small hail. And look at that. That's what we got. But that's not really the main day, though. This is just, for today. And for the most part, this day is pretty much over. We got to really look out for tomorrow, though. Sunday, November the 9th. It's still technically the same threat, but now that this one right here is pretty much done for tonight, we still have to watch for this one, this little system right here, as it continues to push its way off to the east for Sunday, November the 9th. This right here is for the entire low country, for the most part, the Grand Strand, and a good amount of the eastern PD areas. And so that will come with a risk. What risk will it come with as we go into day 2? That will come with a potentially isolated damaging wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour and isolated damaging hail of up to an inch in diameter is possible as you go into tomorrow. That again is for pretty much the entire low country, also for the PD and for the Grand Strand areas. Then day 3, it gets out of here Monday. We are back to no thunderstorm activity. So we just got to get through tomorrow, and then we'll be done with thunderstorm activity for now. Obviously, we will have thunderstorms again. But for now, we just got to get through tomorrow. We will go over the models as well, but first, in terms of excessive rainfall, no excessive rainfall is expected, so we're good in terms of flash flooding for now. So let's go on and move on to our models. Go on and move to our models. We're going to start off here. Times in the top right. Times in the top right corner of your screen. Make sure that you go on and pay attention to that, as that will be pretty important. Start off here. Now 9 p.m. You want to push this forward. You see some rainfall. See a good amount of rainfall here. Just as you go throughout, even around 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not seeing anything that's severe, but again, these models obviously aren't the best for when showing what storm will be severe at what specific time. So obviously I can't say that for sure, but it doesn't really look like much. As we even get to around 5 o'clock in the morning, you can see there's nothing. There's nothing here at that time. Now we go throughout Sunday. We look good all the way to 3 p.m. Sunday. I mean, it looks like we're having some fun at this point until we get to around 5 to 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. It looks like that some more rainfall, some more downpour activity will be going on throughout the Midlands, also going into the PD and Grand Strand areas as well by 7 o'clock p.m. Now that will bring that thunderstorm and that severe weather risk for damaging winds and also for damaging hail potentially. You go on and push this forward through to 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. And it looks like for the most part the more heavier rainfall, the more severe storm will move its way over into the east. But just for the most part, as it pushes its way through, it goes away 2 o'clock in the morning, November the 10th. Now, so the main threat will be from around 5 p.m. all the way through, probably to around like 9, 10, 11 p.m.-ish, somewhere around there. So about 5-6 hours or so. Now, where is the cold front? Because I do want to look and see where the cold front's actually passed right where this line right here is. So once the line gets its way off, the cold front will pass us tomorrow night around like 10 to 11 p.m. And so that will also bring, a gusty wind event, because obviously with cold fronts comes gusty winds. And so this is not temperatures. This is dew point. You can see as it moves its way off, it completely dries everything. The lower the number, obviously, the lower, or the more dry it is. The more dry it is, the lower the number is. Now, if we go on into temperatures as well, even though I believe it won't really show too much. I mean, it shows definitely a good amount, but honestly, if you was looking at this, you would probably think, okay, well, this is just some regular low temperatures right here, 40s, 50s, usually what we expect. If I was to say these are regular temperatures and not a cold front, you probably would at least believe me. But for the most part, that goes all the way into 10 o'clock in the morning, and you still have temperatures around 38 degrees in the very far upstate by that morning of the 10th, that being Monday. So you want to continue to push this forward all the way through, and then we get to 6 p.m. It's still below freezing. Now below freezing at 6 o'clock p.m. in the very far upstate, and it's still in the 30s for a good amount of people. For some people, it won't even get past the 30s on Sunday during the afternoon. Even as you get into 7 p.m., you can see those freezing temperatures starting to slowly move their way over into the majority of the state. And so that's not just, not only the models that are saying that, but if we go on over into the actual South Carolina statewide forecast maps from the National Weather Service of Columbia, they say the same thing. This right here, this is Sunday night. Right here, this is Sunday night. It shows, for the most part, you have like the mid-30s up there in the upstate. In the Midlands, low 40s. And then even inside the low country into the PD areas, 40, 50 degrees regular. But then once we get to Monday, that's when things start to shake up. To where even in downtown Charleston, it is below freezing at 32 degrees. In Myrtle Beach, it is below freezing at 32 degrees, or at freezing. In Georgetown, below freezing at 30 degrees. And the coldest being in Greenville, 25, some even lower than 25. In like the very dark blue areas, and some may even get lower than that. But that would be like far up in like the mountain areas. So Monday night, pretty much what you should take away is that Monday night is going to be a very cold night. and that you should definitely be preparing for that. If you have any plants as well that you also need to protect, you have any pets that you need to bring in, you have non-insulated plumbing that you need to get wrapped or that you need to drip your drains or anything like that. That definitely needs to be a thing for Monday night. But if we continue this even forward, further in terms of convection, you want to go back to where we just were. After this moves out the way, though, you could just see that you are seeing some isolated snow showers at 3 p.m. on November the 10th, on Monday. So this is now, we're now getting into the short range models to where they are saying the upstate will receive snowfall. Now, how much snowfall? They right now are saying, I mean, it's only going to be a little bit, not going to be like a major storm or anything like that. But a little bit of snowfall up there, according to this model right here, as we go into around like 5 to 7 p.m. on Monday. Maybe even a bit earlier, but you just obviously don't have accumulation with it. And so another one that I do want to show is the NAM 3 kilometer as well. If we go back to where we just ended off, this one has a lot of stuff on it, but for the most part, you can see the snowfall clear as day moving in not only into the upstate, but the Midlands, and then look at the PD area. Look at the Grand Strand area. This model right here thinks that there's going to be some snow that traverses its way all the way over into these areas over in the eastern part of the state as well. Is it going to happen? Like I said, 60 hours out. You know, we'll get closer to it. I'm still taking it with a grain of salt just because it's November and it's South Carolina and things happen. And they always hype us up, but then nothing ever happens in the end. But we are getting very close. We are definitely getting very close. Now, if I go on and look at the actual model, from the actual forecast from the National Weather Service as well, they're not saying anything in terms of snowfall. In fact, they say that no snowfall is expected just as you move throughout the next 3 days, just in general, from Sunday 7 a.m. all the way to Wednesday at 7 a.m. They're not saying anything. Now, maybe, obviously this doesn't occur with all snowfall because maybe they're just saying it's not going to accumulate, but there might be some that potentially falls. But here they're not saying any accumulation is expected here either. So still just something to watch for here as well. That was the NAM there. So let's go on and talk about our long-term future now. We want to talk about the long-term future now. If we go on over here into the GFS, you go on and push this forward. The GFS shows pretty much a lot of that cold air making it through, but doesn't show anything in terms of snowfall. Even if you go into total snowfall, not showing anything. The Euro, on the other hand, shows a bit of a different story. Does show some, but not a lot. Honestly, if anything accumulates, honestly, I don't think it would really do much. The ones that are most confident on it is the more shorter term models, which is, I guess a good sign because usually the shorter term ones are the more accurate ones here. But continuing this forward even more, just as we get past this cold air and potential snowfall here, we go on all the way into November the 16th. We have some rainfall moving through. Is this a cold front right here? Seems like for the most part that it is. Cold front will be moving through sometime before the 20th, maybe after the 15th on the 16th-ish. That pushes through, brings us some more dry air. And then we have another significant front that could potentially come through, bring us some more rainfall on the 21st, going into the 22nd, bring snowfall up there into the mountains. And then for the most part, we're just staying in that pattern that I've been talking about. Just staying in that pattern, just over and over and over again. You can even look at it here on the JMA. You go on and just continue this forward even more. When you have that huge ridge over there in the west, you kind of like starts to, and then you have that trough over here in the east. That's just the pattern that we're going to be going through. And then obviously it's going to flip. We're going to have the ridge over here. They're going to have the trough over there inside the west. And so it's just going to be that recurring pattern over and over and over again. So now that's it there. What about the tropics? Nothing going on in the tropics still for the next 7 days. We are good there. What does the ensemble say for the tropics as we move through? Because I still, they're still saying something's potentially possible. Still saying something's potentially possible. As you go on and move our way through all the way Let me go ahead and push this forward right here all the way through. You can see over here in the Caribbean, it shows some activity. Definitely does show some activity. As you go all the way into around 10 days out into the future, you have some, definitely have some low pressures over here inside of the southern Caribbean. And so that's something that we're going to have to look for as we move through the next 10 days or so. But for the most part, they're not looking like anything too concerning. Or I like to say the C word. Nothing to really be concerned about here. And that's all that I have for the tropics as well. So let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a great day. I had a great day. Hopefully you did as well. My Aunt Lula says, good evening, everyone. I pray that everyone had a great day. I did. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, started off nice, but rain moved in, and it actually poured for a good while. Let me see real quick. How much rainfall did I receive today? Today, I received, seems like, around 0.14 inches of rainfall. So around 0.14 inches, around just like a tenth or so. Nothing too bad. Nothing too, great or anything like that. But something definitely to look for. Now back here he says, please remember to go and hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Also share with everyone that you know. He says, just checked outside here in Moncks Corner and it's getting foggy. It was foggy earlier. I was outside and it was definitely foggy earlier for sure. And so you're not the only area. And he's absolutely correct, though. Right now, we've had 13 people tune in and only 6 likes so far. 13 people have tuned in and only 6 likes so far. If you are a part of that 7 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free. You can change your mind at any time if you ever want to. Then we continue even further. My Aunt Lula says, again, today in Georgetown it rained a little and then the sun came out nice and warm. Thank you for that weather update. Terrell says, greetings everyone, greetings to you. Lovely day here today. I baked banana bread loaf. I definitely have had that before. Glad that it was a great day to where you were. Mr. Anthony says, good evening everyone, good evening to you. And then my Nana says, hello Jay. We had a little rain here this afternoon. Same thing where I am. And so that's all that I can see inside the chat right now. If you want to go on and put a chat inside of the actual live chat, you have to be a subscriber of the channel because it is on subscriber only mode. Yes, it is on subscriber only mode. And so you will not be able to type if you do not subscribe to the channel. So go on and do so you can be a part of the group here. Let's go on now, and since we're done with that, go on and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, what are you talking about, 4 locations outside of South Carolina? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, as well as Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then also Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about those locations is because we have people from those areas who tune in almost nightly. And so we always start off with San Antonio first. So starting off with San Antonio first, you have low temperatures tonight at 61, high temperatures tomorrow at 71, and then low temperatures tomorrow night, look at that, 39. 39, that's probably some of the coolest temperatures that you've seen definitely in a hot minute. And so it will definitely, it won't get freezing, it won't be freezing, but it definitely will be a lot cooler. Now, in terms of precipitation, no precipitation is expected at this time. And then in terms of what's going on in terms of severe weather, tomorrow you do in fact have a risk for some fire conditions. So if you don't have to burn anything, please don't, because it's definitely not going to be the right time to do it tomorrow. As you have a risk for some fire. Critical fire weather, to be exact, And so that's a level 2 out of 3. A level 2 out of 3. And then in terms of excessive rainfall for you, you're good there, so you don't have to worry about anything in terms of excessive rainfall. Speaking of, I mean, nobody does. In the entire U.S. does. Then for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 58, high temperatures tomorrow at 75, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 44. 44. There is indeed a chance of showers. Not only tomorrow, there is a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, but also just tonight, as showers are likely for where you are. And so you will have to watch out for that for sure. Now, what about severe weather? What about excessive rainfall? Right now, it seems like for the most part that you're not really looking at anything in terms of severe weather, except for potentially, well, actually, it just cuts you off actually for both days. So right now, no, you are just outside of that marginal risk. You are just outside of that marginal risk of severe weather, and so that will keep you out of it for now. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, I've already said it for all the locations, but for the most part, nothing in terms of excessive rainfall. You are good in terms of flash flooding. Now let's go on and move on to our next area, which is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you go on and look at it here, you have low temperatures tonight at 48, high temperatures tomorrow at 63, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 46. Right now, there is indeed no precipitation that is expected tonight, but potentially tomorrow. Showers are likely not only during the day, but also during the nighttime hours as well. Let me go ahead and fix that. There it is. Showers are likely tomorrow and tomorrow night as well. In terms of severe weather for you, you have no risk of any sort of severe weather, so you are good there. And then the final area that we talk about, probably the quietest area for sure, is Duncan, Oklahoma. And if we go on and push it here now, you have low temperatures tonight at 43, high temperatures tomorrow at 54. And then the low temperatures for tomorrow night, not 41, it's 26. So it will be freezing for sure as you go into tomorrow night. So you have to be watching for that. That's definitely a hard freeze for sure. And so you're going to have to watch for that, especially as you go throughout Sunday night and Monday morning. And that's it for the 4 locations here. Let's go on now and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. Showers, along with a few strong and severe thunderstorms, are expected from the Great Lakes, New England, and south into the Ohio and the Tennessee valleys. In the wake of a system, a stronger storm is expected to track from the Pacific Northwest, the plains, and through the eastern U.S. through this weekend. Strong wind showers and a large drop in temperatures are expected this weekend into Monday. And so we definitely will be still watching out for that snowfall threat. Some people not really a threat, but we will be watching for that because that is something that could potentially break some records. Could be something that's very unusual for this time of year, especially if we see some accumulation on the lower elevations for it. So I'll, get all that information up for if it really does snow, and we'll see if there is any records that are broken or anything like that. And that is all that I have. So let me go and check the chat one more time. I don't see anything else here, so I assume that is all. This is the last call again for questions. If you have not put your question inside of the question tab, go on and do so. We will answer them. I'll answer them probably in a separate video, either on Monday or on Tuesday. One of those two. Questions it could be questions about me, why did I get into meteorology, or just questions about a meteorology term or anything like that. Preferably not questions like, oh, what's the weather like for next week, or what's the weather like in this area, in blah, 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 blah. And that's all that I have. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the forecast tonight. Top fans for tonight, Mr. Chris at number 1, my Aunt Lula's at number 2, and then Trails at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans for the night tonight. want to be a top fan, you can. You just have to be here early, and you have to be a subscriber to the channel and type inside of the chat and be active. Hopefully everyone has a fantastic rest of their Saturday evening. I will be back tomorrow morning for your Sunday morning forecast update. Make sure that you're here tomorrow evening for our week forecast update for the second full week of November the 9th, going into November the 15th.